Hey, and welcome to map 3 of the Plutonia experiment. This is Aztec, and as you can see, we're heading up the stairs here. Going to grab the rocket launcher, and we're going to kind of head down here. So there's two directions we can head in. We can head through that door or this door. We're going to head this way first, because there is a little secret here that we can take advantage of. So it is worth noting that you cannot come back down here once the lift has come down and gone back up for the first time. So it's important that you kill the mancubus if you want to go for 100%. So as we come in here, this is where the red key is, and we have to be very careful here because there's a line dev on the floor. An archvile will pop out there, and we do need to make sure we take care of it. There's also a Hell Knight there, but that's less of a problem. It's a nasty little trap, that one, because the archvile spawns in right behind you, so you can't even back out. As we make our way on here, you can see there's a secret in here with a bunch of pillars, and we're going to head inside here because we're going to kill all of these. It is worth coming inside here because there is a supercharge at the end of this room, and trust me, you'll be wanting the health for later in this level. Gonna take out the bony boy here. Gonna grab the supercharge there. It's quite an interesting little secret, this one, because it kind of goes around with the path of the level, so it's a very interestingly shaped room. So I'm going to mention it now because I'm going to be mentioning it a lot in Plutonia, it seems. I'm not a fan of hurt floor textures like this brown sludge here, which usually indicates pain floor, being used as just a general floor. For me, it's a very bad habit, and unfortunately Plutonia does this quite a lot through it. So now this bridge here is a bit deceptive. As you can see, we've got some mancubus shooting from the left and the right behind the vines over there. You don't want to go too far onto the bridge, because if you do that, it raises up some chain gunners who will absolutely mince you if you're not prepared for it. So what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to get rid of the mancubus before we have to trigger that little trap, because there's a lot of danger here that you'll cause a lot of things to happen, and you can easily lose control of this situation. So you can see there's the chain gunners, and there's some bony boys who've come up with them, so you can see how this can get very disorientating if you're not careful. You may have noticed that Plutonia likes throwing a lot of traps at the player, so you've always got to be on your toes when you're kind of exploring new areas, because there's always a good chance you're going to end up being shot from behind by something that just raised out to the floor. So as we head in here, you'll notice that these two side walls open up. Now I don't want these pain elementals flooding the area with enemies, so I am going to try to kill the lost souls before they spawn. Generally what I like to do with the pain elementals is pin them into a corner, and it sort of stops the lost souls from spawning. So we need the red and the blue keys here. It's actually a very interesting way of using the keys, because you can actually go inside the teleporters and the doors are actually right next to each other, so you can kind of look across and see into each of the coloured key areas. But obviously we don't have the blue key right now, so we're going to have to go and hunt that down, which means heading all the way back down here, and then heading all the way down here. I don't know if I'm a fan of how this level kind of has those big, long, narrow corridors. It kind of feels a bit, you know, cramped to me. It feels a bit sort of like they could have made better use of that space. We've got some bony boys at the back, and this is probably the nastiest trap in the whole level, because the archvile there pops up, and it's very hard to kind of hide from it if it's sort of standing in the middle and catches you, because you can't really break its line of sight. So you have to try and convince it to use its fire ability at the sides there. Very nasty trap, that one. And as we head up the stairs here, you can see another wall opens up there with some chain gunners inside. Shock and horror, chain gunners in my Plutonia. Who would have ever guessed? This is a bit of a nothing room. There's a bony boy on top of that little stand there, but like he can't really do much to us if we're careful. I am coming in here though because I want those rockets. There is also a spectre in the floor here, and again, using what looks like a pain floor, but it actually doesn't hurt you, so there's a bit of inconsistency in these WODs, but, you know, hey-ho. So you can see they're using the invisible bridge trick here again. And you can see that this bridge is actually surrounded by a bunch of arachnotrons and some pain elementals. So this room is particularly nasty because you've got some chain gunners at the end of the bridge who are going to be taking some pot shots at us. And we're going to have to deal with them and deal with the arachnotrons and the cannon fire, as well as the pain elementals and their lost souls. So there's quite a lot going on here. So you can see that chain gunner at the end down there. He's really gunning for us here. Visually, it's a very impressive space, this one, because the sort of look here is very unique. The invisible bridge and the vines around the outside and the arachnotrons. It is an interesting space, this one, because there's only so much cover that the player has afforded to them. And when they run over here, you'll see again there's an invisible platform there, so the ones that made this level clearly had that in mind. You can see there's some lost souls still hanging around. The trick with this end room is that the arachnotrons can kind of see you, so there's very little cover, and that's kind of why you've got to be very careful in where you move, because otherwise they will just start peppering you with the cannon fire. So I want to get rid of one of these at least. We can't actually leave this area yet. We've actually got to go into this teleporter here. And you can see there's now some bony boys up there, which is great. So we've already destroyed that arachnotron, so that's given us a bit of breathing room here. We want to destroy this second one here. So the main thing here is hitting this switch, because when you hit that switch it opens the door back up and lets us sort of leave to go back into the rest of the level. We still have to deal with the arachnotrons over there and the bony boys that are kind of waiting for us at the end of the bridge. Again, this is a very interesting space. In my opinion, this is probably the best part of this level in terms of like spectacle. I can't really get my shotgun fire around there. So what we're going to do is going to let that rocket hit the wall, and then I'm going to come over here. We've shot that one to death. And then we'll take care of this guy here. But yeah, this is a fun room in my opinion. This is probably one of the better parts of this level, if you were to ask me honestly. The teleporter there just kind of teleports you back into the room. I think that's in case you get locked out or whatever. But as we head back through the level here, you can see that, you know, these spaces are not very interesting to kind of traverse. You're kind of looking at all these samey rooms and, you know, can you tell exactly where we are? It all looks the same, doesn't it? I do like this area as well. So, like, I like this bridge area with the little trap with the chain gunners there. That was pretty interesting. So let's take care of the bony boy here. This is what I was talking about earlier. You can actually look into the area which we're going into next. So if you go into the red door here, you can actually sort of kill the bony boy without having to go into the blue key area. And when we hit this switch, the exit opens up, and that's Aztec done. I do like parts of this level. I think that the big area with the arachnotrons and that big invisible bridge, very cool. I actually like the bridge with the mancubus and the chain gunner trap. I think that's a nice fun area. One of my problems with this level though is those narrow sort of tunnels, passageways that you pass through. I'm not a fan of those areas because I think they're just kind of uninspired. I think they're just kind of there. And yeah, I get that they have to have artery points to get you to the main areas of the level, but for me, it's not fun to explore those areas, and they kind of bring the level down a bit for me. So we're going to look at the PS1 version here, and you can see that there's been some changes to the texture work in this initial room. And you can also see we don't get a rocket launcher at the start here. We actually only get a shotgun, which is a huge downgrade in my opinion, but you know, it is what it is. So you can see they've kept the same sort of texture style on the walls out there. You've also got rid of the mancubus here, so now we're just dealing with 2 chain gunners, which I kind of prefer because it means we get a chain gun a lot earlier in the level. So I ain't going to complain about that. Now we know there aren't any arch vials in the PS1 version of Doom, so let's see what they put here instead. Oh, it's actually a Hell Knight. So you can see that, you know, they've tried to kind of keep the spirit of this trap alive by having the sort of Hell Knight show up here, but it's not quite as intimidating. An Archvile is definitely a much more scary beast to sort of show up in front of you like that. But it's still a trap that could catch people out, so it's not that bad. Plus you get the super shotgun in there, which I think is a big step up, because you don't get that in the PC version. You can see as well, they've replaced the Bony Boys with the Hell Knights here. Grab that supercharge. But yeah, as I said when I was talking about the PC version of this level, these corridors here, I always kind of think when I'm going through them, think of all the things they could have done with this space. So you can see that the Arachnotrons have replaced the Mancubus on the outside of the sort of room here, and that's not good for us because Arachnotrons, in my opinion, are a bit more annoying because of the plasma fire. So that's where the rocket launcher got moved to, which is interesting. So they actively chose to give you that later in the level rather than let you get it from the start. So first things first, I want to get rid of the chain gunners, and then we'll get rid of these Hell Knights here. You've got to be careful of that fire from the sides because they can get pretty relentless if you give them a chance, the Arachnotrons. Yeah, I just want to get rid of you. Ah, caught myself there. I thought we'd be able to fire over those, but obviously not. So you can see as well, they've replaced the Pain Elementals with Hell Knights here. So as we head in here, you can see the teleporters are still here. They've actually replaced the imps with these chain gunners, which is definitely a choice in my opinion. I don't know if they were trying to make that bit a bit more harder than it is in the PC version, because obviously chain gunners can be a bit more brutal if they start shooting at you. But yeah, we still need to get the 2 different keys, and that's exactly what we're going to go and do here. We're going to head back through the level, and we're going to grab the blue key from across the level. So as we head through these single file labyrinths, we will head to this area here. Now you can see that there's a Hell Knight already up over there, and let's see what enemy they put here. Of course it's a Hell Knight. That seems to be the stand-in enemy in this level. Let's get rid of those chain gunners up there with the rockets. So I'm not seeing a Spectre down in the pit there. So they've obviously decided to get rid of the Spectre, which I guess kind of makes sense. Because I don't think we've actually seen any Spectres or Pinkies on this level yet. Another Hell Knight. This kind of reminds me of Doom 2 on PS1, where a lot of the Barons of Hell were just replaced with Hell Knights. So the Hell Knight count in that game is a lot bigger than it was in the PC version. So we're just seeing a lot of Hell Knights in this level. So as we head through here, oh, woof. Okay, so that jutteriness you're seeing is not the rendering of this video, let me tell you. Oh, goodness gracious. The PS1 version of this level does not like this room at all. And it's funny because you can see that these shots are going past me here. If you see them shooting, just watch how long it takes for those to actually reach me. Like, it takes like a small edge for those to actually get to me. You can see that they've got rid of the invisible bridge because this room's already laggy enough. I don't think they wanted to add more lag into it. Oh my god. So they've actually left the pain elementals in this room, which is insanity if you ask me. Yeah, this room is not nice to play in this version. I know some people in the comments have said I should play like a PC port of the PS1 version of Doom, and I could do that, but the thing is, when I'm doing these PlayStation 1 versions of these levels, I'm trying to showcase what it's like to experience this on an actual PlayStation, and in order to kind of do that, you've got to, you know, play, I think, as close to natural as you can. And when you encounter a room like this, it really just showcases how this was pushing the PlayStation. Even in 1996, the PlayStation was really struggling with like these big 3D rooms because a lot of these Final Doom levels were not properly optimized for the PlayStation because this was not a well handled port compared to Doom 1 and Doom 2. And I think it's kind of important to sort of showcase this is what people were experiencing when they put this into their PlayStation back in the day. And I think it's very fascinating they decided to keep this room at all, because I honestly would have thought this would have been the room that would have gotten cut, because it's kind of clear that, you know, the game is not enjoying this. And if you're watching, you'll see, like, as we kind of look out across the level there, you can just see that the frame rate is inconsistent, and when you're trying to kind of move and shoot and dodge enemy fire, that can be the difference between getting hit and not getting hit. So you can see as well, they've changed the bony boys there to actually just be Hell Knights. Ow. Gotta be a bit careful here, we are not doing too well on the health front. I mean, I'm impressed this room even runs the way it does at all, because there's a lot going on in here, and the fact that they didn't take out the pain elementals and lost souls is pretty crazy when you consider the impact they would have had on performance. So yeah, let's get rid of the Hell Knight here. So now we've got the long walk towards the end of the level here. So I'll begin my post-level thoughts here, because there's quite a lot to kind of go over. I think that this, in my opinion, is not a stellar level. I think this is very middle of the road, in particular when it comes to like some of the levels we've seen in Final Doom so far. And I think Aztec's one of those levels that you play through, it's got some really memorable moments, but like there's a lot of middle of the road moments like this where it kind of gets broken up by nothing, and nothing's really happening, and there's no fun in exploring these areas. And I think that's what kind of holds this level back, in my opinion. I feel like if you were to sort of make those areas more exciting, I think there's definitely a potentially great level hidden in here, but it's just one of those things where I think it's quite bland, and also because there's a lot of this brown texture, there's a lot of brown bricks in this level, so it all kind of bleeds into one big massive brown brick mess, doesn't it? I do like how they got rid of the pit around the exit there at the end, but you can see that they tried to be as faithful in the PlayStation version of this level as they could, for better or worse in my opinion, because this is one of those levels where maybe they should have thought about scaling down some of the rooms. But let me know what you think of Aztec. Do you like Aztec? Do you hate Aztec? Do you prefer the PS1 version of this level? And thank you very much for watching.